Hello, everybody. Rob Tyndall here from Holganix, and I will be the moderator today, guiding you guys through the webinar about designing your program. So, okay, so here's just so you know who's talking to you. I'm the guy in the blue jeans there. It's a picture of myself, another one of the comrades here. That's Mark next to me. So, at any rate, it's a pretty broad subject where we talk about designing your program. So I'm really going to try and do my best at capturing everything for you and helping have a better understanding of some of the things you might want to think about when you look at your program. And I noticed there's 3 or 4 people with us today, so it's not a huge attendance. We did it last week, and I know some of you couldn't make it due to the weather and such. So it was a pretty big turnout last time. But at any point, if anybody has any questions, feel free to just jump in and ask a question, and I'll guide you through it. So, how many are all? Is anybody not using Hoganix that's on the call?
I'm not John.
Okay, all right.
I'm
So,
just I'm just looking at what's available now because when I was first contacted by a rep, you didn't have the granular product. So the seminar right before this, I learned about that, so it is more appealing that you have a granular product now. So I'm really just gathering information.
okay, great, John. Yeah, I'm glad you're with us this afternoon. And so, yeah, that the granular does help. Of course, there's a lot of guys that are liquid, a lot of guys that are granular, and some guys are use both. So it does help to allow more guys to use the Organics product, definitely. And so just so you have, I'll just tell you real quickly, like we got just a 1 minute commercial. What is Organics? The others are already using. So, but it's a 100% organic bionutrition product and promotes strong plant health, which is going to result in beautiful, vigorous plants. It's allowing fertilizers and pesticides to be used more efficiently and effectively. Um, so just a real quick rundown on what Holganix is doing for you, very simplistic. Um, so the program, when we look at that, when we talk about that, what are your options? And we just talked about a little bit. Some guys are using liquid. There's granular options out there, and there's hybrid programs where maybe you're using a combination of the two. Now, surrounding the liquid, there's good and bad. There's pros and cons with anything. So with the liquid, some of the cons would be that the cold weather spraying can be problematic. If you have a spray pump and it's freezing weather, obviously you're gonna need that pump. You could blow that pump, crack the pump or lines or anything. So it's just that cold weather spraying in the liquid. Storage overnight gets to freezing temperatures. That can be a problem. The equipment that is out there generally spraying, most guys are using a hose sprayer, so they're just dragging a 2, 3, 400 foot hose and spraying lawns that way. Of course, there are the mechanized ride-on sprayers that are really nice. Permagreen makes a sprayer for Holganix, as well as LT Rich, the Z sprayers. They make a Holganix sprayer that are and so with the liquid, some of the pros are that you're going to deliver more living biology. You get the full spectrum of life out of living biology in terms of what we can build into the product with the beneficial fungi, protozoa, nematodes, and such. So the and generally speaking, from a cost perspective, it is more cost effective. We are able to develop a program less expensively, generally speaking, using the liquid products. So that's definitely another con or pro, I should say. And then granular wise, the it generally the equipment's going to be less expensive. You could have just a push spreader and you're in truck and you're in business. they do have mechanized ride-ons for that as well. Both, Gregson Clark, LT Rich, they make the spreader sprayers, and they're definitely nice machines. It's does make it easier, obviously. Well, in terms of liquid wise, ride around on a mechanized piece rather than pulling the hose. You will gain greater efficiencies, but it's some feel like the hose spraying, they're more accurate. They get into smaller, finer spots and such. But with the granular, you're going to deliver high amounts of carbon. That's definitely a positive. It's a good thing about the granular. Um, the one negative is that you don't get the full spectrum of life as you would with the liquid Holganix. So what happens is the when we make the granular, we take a product called BioDAC. It's basically a paper honeycomb-like structure, and then the Holganix is sprayed right onto that, and there's porosity within that paper product, that BioDAC, and that allows the water, some water and some oxygen to can be contained within it, and that allows the Holganix to be able to stay alive, at least most of it, not all of it though. So some of the pore spaces just aren't large enough for some of these organisms, and you don't get the full spectrum as I mentioned. But with that biodac, you do deliver a high amount of organic matter and carbon, so through that paper source basically, which is definitely a good thing. So when the other option is a hybrid. What's great about that, you do cold weather, you're putting down the granular, so you do not have to worry about freezing and such. And then when the weather's warmer temperatures, then you can obviously go out with the liquid. So it just depends on the part of the country you're in, and there's obviously a number of variables there as to what type of program you're looking at. Now, when we look at the a new program versus current program, that's one thing. There's already people that some guys are brand new and they're just figuring out a program, and we'll look at that. And other guys are already in the business. They've been in business a long time. They already have the recipe, and then we got to we'll work in to fit a Holganix program in within theirs and kind of convert it over to a Holganix program, taking a look at what they're currently doing. So for a new program, we already have templates built for that. And those templates are going to be for liquid, for granular, and for a hybrid approach. And later on in the seminar, I will actually show you some of those, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of it, so to speak, and look at the programs. If you already have an existing program, maybe you've been in business a while, maybe you've been in business a long time, and you already run a program. The things that generally, if I was speaking with somebody, that I would take into consideration would be the number of applications that they're currently applying. Are they doing a single or split applications of their crabgrass pre-emergent? We'd want to look at the compatibility of products. So they're already using, their arsenal, and so we want to look and see what is compatible, what is not compatible. And when a product is not compatible, it's not necessarily, it's not saying that it's going to coagulate or cause something really weird to happen with the Holganix. It's really more about, is it going to keep maximum viability of those microorganisms? We want to keep everything alive. So we've had a ton of products that we've tested, and we have a long list of products that are 100% compatible with Holganix. So if you use those, you're 100% fine. The viability of the product will be sustained, and you won't kill off some of those organisms. Some of the other products that are listed as no, or not, not being compatible, they're going to kill some of the biology. Now, realize that the biology is definitely, a great part of the product, but it's not everything. There are about 20 other ingredients in the product that make it what it is. And so it's still, even if you killed off some of the biology, it's still an excellent product. The other thing I'd look at are reductions. So I would take a look at how much nitrogen are you using, say, annually. We'd kind of look at the program and just figure out what, how are you using 2 pounds a year, 4 pounds a year? How much are you using exactly? So if we look at the reductions, in terms of nitrogen, Generally, starting off, I'm going to reduce guys their fertility, their nitrogen by 50%. There's a lot of guys that are 75% reductions, and it's working perfectly well. They're getting at least as good a color and density as they were at the same full rate. So it's like I talked about early on. Just the Holganix allows for reductions. In terms of the crabgrass pre-emergent, I'd start them off with a 20% reduction, and with herbicide, I'd start them off with generally about a 30% reduction. So for your three-way herbicides, 2,4-D, MCPP, dicamba, things like Strike 3 or um, uh, Mecamine, there's just a ton of them. Vessel, normal rate for that's 1.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So we'd bring them down to an ounce or 1.1 ounces per 1,000. A lot of guys are down at 0.75 ounces per 1,000 and are very happy with the results. So it's just, it's what's you can go to those reductions of time, definitely. So if we look at some of the variables, then what that's going to consist of are your grass types, pre-emergence, and you really need to take a look at any state and federal regulations, obviously. And these things are all going to play a part into developing your program. So for your grasses, a warm season program, we would generally want to use about 35 ounces of Holganix annually, and that's usually divided over a minimum of 5 applications. For your cool season grasses and your transition grasses, generally it's 28 ounces of Holganix annually, and that's divided over 4 applications. And they're a minimum amount that we like to see, but that's generally in those regions what guys are going at. There's certainly guys that are going with more than that. It's just you have to keep obviously the economics in perspective and make sure it's a cost-effective program. So the reason why there are over 4 or 5 applications is because you want to consistently be delivering Holganix, so you're continuing to apply the living biology and the food sources for that biology to really keep that soil in a state of heightened microbiological activity. It just really keeps it an alive, functioning soil, and so that's kind of the basis for what allows it to work. In terms of pre-emergence, basically you're either doing a single app, one app, or you're doing a split application. And what you really need to pay attention to is the number of months of control you're trying to achieve. So what I have here is a chart, and this is pulled just right from the label. This is a Barricade 4FL, and that's just a flowable liquid, and it's showing you here months of control. Okay, so I happen to be in the transition zone. So if you look at that, and generally speaking, guys are starting in March. So if we look at that and just talk it through, if they're applying for March, April, May, June, July, August, that's how many months of control they're looking for. Because generally speaking, in this area in September, they're starting to aerate and overseed. So most guys are looking for 6 months of control. So in the transition zone for 6 months, you would just follow the chart across, and you need 26 ounces of the product per acre. So that needs to be built into your program. That's your rate. Obviously, if you want more or less, you do it accordingly. So really depends on your region and number of months of control you're looking for. So that is an important component, though. Because too little, it's not going to work as well, and too much, it's going to extend into your seeding season, maybe affect the germination of that new seed you're putting down. Now, if you're aerating and seeding, then you are helping to break that crabgrass barrier. It's going to punch through it, and then, you're putting that seed in the ground lower, and you still may get good germination. But generally speaking, if your pre-emergence pretty much worn off by the time you're overseeding, that's definitely better thing, better practice. So now let's and just remember with Holganix, you can go 20% less than this. So if it's telling you 26 ounces with Holganix, you can reduce that by almost 5 ounces, bring down to about 21 ounces of product per acre, and it's just going to work equally as well as that full rate of 26 ounces. And obviously, if you're doing a split app, you're just splitting that in half. So you'd be, instead of, if you brought it from 26 to 21, then now you'd bring it to about maybe, 10 or 11 for your round one, or 10 or 11 ounces of product per acre for round two. The other consideration I mentioned was the state and federal regulations and nutrient management. They're really tightening a lot. Different regions are a lot worse than others. Some are pretty lax, and some are just really limiting. And they tend to limit the amounts of nitrogen. And when I look at programs, if it's a guy just starting out, I'll generally start them out at about maybe 2 pounds of nitrogen. That's a pretty good point. If they're using Holganix throughout the season, along with 2 pounds spread throughout the year, that works generally very well. Or if they have an existing program, as I mentioned, I'm going to cut it down in half. If they're at 4 pounds, I'll bring them down to 2 pounds of nitrogen annually. So if we look at that, it's you just have to make sure it's within whatever the nutrient management's calling for. You obviously can't go over what the state's telling you. If they come in and check your records, they want to see how much you're putting down. And in New Jersey, they and other states as well, they have slow release requirements. They require that each application has a 20% slow release. So you just have to be aware of that, and that in products that are going to be slow release as well. There's phosphorus bans out there, so you obviously couldn't use phosphorus in those regions. I know Florida, for instance, they have fertilizer blackout periods, and you cannot fertilize during those periods. So you can apply Holganix though. So that you have to understand, Holganix is not a fertilizer. It's a 0-0 analysis. It's a soil amendment, so it is not a fertilizer, and it's not EPA registered. It's an FDA approved product because it's all food grade edible ingredients. So that's a big difference. Now the program examples. So if we look at this, we have 12 Holganix pre-built programs, and basically it's how do you cover everybody? So we just kind of did 12 basic ones for everybody, and as a starting point. And obviously within these you can customize, and we do it all the time. It's just building it to exactly where the customer feels he should be or wants it to be. But one side of the camp wants value. They're maximized. They're really just kind of every penny counts. They are really budget oriented, and they want a value program. So it's more of a minimalistic program. In the premium camp, they just look. I want it to work. I want the greenest lawns. I want it to just my lawns to look the best, and I'm willing to spend more money to do so. And obviously, you try and you can balance the two together. So if we look at the value, though, basically we have granular, and we'll have one in fast release, and then we'll have a program with a 20% at least, because it's basically a minimum of 20% slow release, say for like New Jersey, with a slow release component. Then there's going to be a liquid, both fast release and 20% slow, and then a hybrid program, and same thing, fast release, slow release. Premium, we did the same thing, just a granular and fast and slow, liquid fast and slow, and then the hybrid approach, going with the fast and slow type programs. So let's start with one of these, and I'm just going to run through it just the way I just did with you, basically. And in a value program, in a granular lawn program, just a fast release program, then this is showing, and there we go. Here's your round. So this is just a 4-round program. It gives you general dates of application, which you can see there, and the classification is telling you what it is: a fertilizer and crabgrass pre-emergent. Here's the product that you're putting down. So for round one, I did note it's nitrogen at 0.5 pounds per 1,000 square feet. It's March and April general application times, the fertilizer crabgrass pre-emergent. So the product recommended there is a 1202, and it's with 0.37 per diamine and 20% slow release. And so, and this is the slow release one. So sorry, I think I said earlier fast release. Obviously, it's a slow release program. And the rate for the bag is 12,500 square feet. And then if we look at round two, we're delivering 0.4 pounds of nitrogen per thousand. And May, June, and it's just a fertilizer we're putting down, 1003. And the product recommends a 45% slow release. It's a methylene urea, so it's a real nice slow release that helps further feed the organisms in the soil. So it's a real nice slow release product. And the coverage, 12,500 square feet. Then real simple, because this is a value program, it's just real simple, basic. Round three, same thing. The 1003 with 45% slow release, and the round four is 1003 with 45% slow release. And then we're basically just saying spot spray, weed control, where and when necessary. So that one's, pretty simple, really. Now, if we look at, okay, these aren't in exact order I thought. So at any rate, this is going to be a value liquid program, and we could send these charts over to you guys at the end. I'll make sure I do that. If you're interested, I'll give you my email address, and if you send me your email address, I will send all these programs over to you. And what's pretty neat about this is you can go in, it says right here, the blue fields are changeable. So you just type in the amount of gallons. Right here, you type in your spray rate. Some guys are spraying it 1.5 gallons per thousand. Some guys are 2 gallons per thousand. Some guys are 3. It's just whatever you are. You type it in there, and it's going to do the math for you. It'll put what that treatable square footage is, and then it's going to show you for each of the rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's a 4-step because it's value. Our premium programs, which I'm going to show you, are a 5-step. So if we look at this, let's just run through this quickly. The round one, same application times, March, April. Basically, you're putting in water, and you're going to fill your tank up to 200 when it's all done. So the soil amendment Holganix, it's 7 ounces per 1,000 square feet we have in this first round. So that equates to 7.3 gallons. And that's just taking the 7 ounces multiplied times your treatment area, and it's coming up with 7.3 gallons. Then the fertilizer is just a 4600 urea source, and this will deliver a 1/4 pound of nitrogen. And the amount you would need to add into your tank, these are all how much you add into your tank, obviously. So you need 73 pounds. That's basically a 1.5 bags of this urea, because they're 50-pound bags. So you just dump in, turn on your agitator, mix it up. Pre-emergent, you have a choice. There's prodiamine 65WDG, which is a water dispersible granule. It's almost like a tang. It's like a powder. And to deliver 0.65 pounds AI per acre, then you would need 59 ounces. If you're using the Barricade 4FL, and like I put here, you use either or. So it's whichever one you have or can get, or less expensive. I actually prefer the liquid Barricade. It just does, it gives you a little better coverage, and I just like a little less settling too. Sometimes when you shut off the tank, the WDG can settle out a little more towards the bottom, whereas this tends to mix up better, the flow of a liquid. And you would need 64 ounces in that tank mixture to deliver that 0.65 pounds of AI per acre. So that's your round one. Round two, same thing, 7 ounces per thousand in the Holganix, a 1/4 pound of the 46OL. Grub control, put in merit, and that's 0.6 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So it tells you how much to use. Weed control, generally that's when you're putting down weed controls, like May, June time frame. And you can always spot spray, of course. If you're out and see some wild onion or something like that, you could, you obviously some chickweed, just spot spray. But if you're tank mixing it, just put the 3-way in. This is a value program, so we have it at a low rate at 0.75, so 3/4 of an ounce per 1,000 square feet. So in that tank, you need 100 ounces. And then round three, 7 ounces per 1,000 Holganix, plus 1/4 pound of urea. Round four, another 7 ounces and a 1/4 pound of urea. So this particular program right here, you're delivering 4 applications of Holganix at 7 ounces each. So that's a 28 ounces per 1,000. And in terms of fertility, you're putting in a quarter pound of urea each round. So it's a pound of nitrogen annually. And that might sound real light, but obviously with the Holganix, it's going to work like 2 or 3 pounds of N. So it's going to perform much better than just traditional synthetic chemical application of a pound of nitrogen annually. But it's still quite light, I think. I mean, I like obviously the premium program better agronomically because they will deliver better results. So let's look at another. This is a value lawn liquid 20% slow release program. So I'll show you what we've done differently here. Because to get to that 20%, we need to obviously add in a slow release source. So when we're doing that with the liquid program, your 4600, this is all fast release. And so the 3000, I should probably make a notation here, and I think I will in the future, but this is basically 60% methylene urea, this 3000 liquid product. So that's the slow release component. And the math's already done for you here that when you mix these two together to get to a 20% slow release solution, that you would need 48 pounds of urea, so basically a bag of urea. And then for the 3000, you would need 3.5 gallons of that. So when you put those two together, that's what it's going to deliver for you. It's going to deliver a 20% slow release nitrogen solution in the end. And it's going to give it's a quarter pound total. So the two of these together is going to deliver a quarter pound. Again, this is a value program. It's going to be a quarter pound of N round 1, quarter pound of N round 2, same in round 3, the same in round 4. So your total is 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 on your annual basis. This combination of the 4600 and 3000, they are consistently used throughout the season in this program. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. And another, so the one thing you have to be a little bit careful of in the summertime is spraying with 4600 when temperature is above 85 degrees or so. You really, the best practice is to mix it and spray it that day. And if you do that, there are generally no problems. Even in the heat, I mean, it's generally not a problem. But if you do not spray it all out in the day and you let it sit overnight, and inside that tank, it's heating up. I mean, sometimes at night inside that tank, it might be 120 degrees or something crazy, and it has the potential to ammoniate. Now that is a characteristic of the urea. It's nothing to do with Holganix, nothing to do with the 3000. It's just that 4600 urea, which is a cost-effective product. That's why everybody uses it. It's very cost-effective. You just have to be careful in the summertime. So if it does go overnight, let's say you went out, you mixed up a couple hundred gallons. You weren't able to spray it all in a day. You come back, there's 100 gallons left. And now it's going to sit overnight like that. When you come in the morning, you definitely want to kind of basically keep your head about a foot away from the tank and smell. And if it's a really strong ammonia smell, that's not good. I mean, there's something you need to adjust that. And the way you can adjust it is to use a pH reducing solution, like a citric acid solution. That's one of the best ones. It's actually the same stuff in Gatorade. So you could dump Gatorade in there to lower that pH, but it's an expensive way to do it. So just have some pH reducing solution on hand. And you don't need a lot. Generally speaking, it's a couple ounces per 100 gallons. That's going to bring it down. But if your pH is spiked quite high, then that's what happens when it heats up. The pH spikes, and that's why it ammoniates. So if your pH is above basically 9, you want to bring it down. Bring it down to like 8.5 or below. If it's up to it's pH of 10 or pH of 11, you're going to need to add more. You might have to add a half a gallon per 100 gallons. It's just it's a function of how much urea was in there, how long it sat, how hot it got. Those factors are going to affect it. So you'll want to adjust that pH. And if another solution is to use a 30-00 slow release, like this one mentioned here. It's 60% slow release, and that's going to be much more safe. It's much less likely to it's not going to volatilize. It's much more stable, the product. I don't know anybody that's ever burned a lawn using 30-00, and that's spraying in 100 degrees, and they've even left it in the tank overnight and went out and sprayed the next day. So it's really much more stable, much more safer. The only downside is it is more expensive. It's going to be about 2 to 3 times as much the cost of that urea. So you just have to look at the economic component of that. And some guys just use it in the hot weather months. Now, like I said, just to read it real quick, if you mix it up, spray it out that day, you're fine. If not, have some pH reducer on hand, or just use the 30-00. But this program here, Value Lawn Liquid program with 20% slow release, it's all built in. Everything's here. Shows you here how much to add in. If you're only mixing up 100 gallons, you could go in here and just type 100, and everything would change for you. So they're built that way. If we look at another one, this is a Value Lawn hybrid program. So here we're saying, okay, for the cold months like March and April, come in with the Granular product. So you can use the fertilizer and crabgrass pre-emergent, 1202 with 0.37 per diamine. And pretty much all our fertilizers are generally speaking, are 50-pound bags, and generally they all cover 12,500 square feet a bag. So it makes it pretty simple. It's a real nice consistency-wise. The product is nice and consistent in prill size. It's a smaller prill, and it's low odor, very low dust. So it's a nice spreadable product. Now in this hybrid program, once you get done, your first application, then round two, you're coming in and you're putting in a liquid, and 7 ounces of Holganix. The urea is in here. If you're using grub control, there is which one you just merit or generic imidacloprid, whatever you want to use there, and a weed control, a 3-way. Round 3 would be another liquid application. And then if round 4, it's starting to get colder and such, then you could come in with the granular again. And that time you could just use, for this, well, I should say round 4, but just use a 10-00 granular. And as a value program, we stretched it out to 20,000 square feet. So it's really stretching that bag. That 10-00 at 20,000 square feet is going to deliver a quarter pound of N. So this particular program is going to deliver, you can see here, 0.5, a quarter. So a pound and a quarter of annual nitrogen is what this one would deliver. Let's keep looking here. This is a Value Lawn hybrid, 20% slow, very similar to the other one. Just we swap it out. Here's the 20%. Here's the 20% slow release fertilizer and crabgrass pre-emergent. We combine the 4600 and the 30-00 to give us our 20% component, and that's in round 2. We do that again in round 3, and in round 4 we could use a 20% slow release at 10-03, and that would satisfy to make it a slow release program. Then if we look at a premium program, first thing you notice, it's a 5-step program. So this is it says right there, Premium Lawn Granular Program. It's 5 applications. The total amount of nitrogen is going to be more, and even the amount of Holganix ends up being more. So it is a better program. It will deliver better results. It's going to be greener, healthier. It's costing you more. Now, I say it's costing you more. It's just still going to be in terms of when you compare it against the traditional synthetic chemical, it really depends on what you're using, in terms of the cost, how that affects it. But if we look at this, 0.5 pounds of N in round 1, and that's a 1202 with 0.37 per diamine at 12,500 square feet a bag. Round 2 is you're putting down 0.4 pounds of N using a 10-12. Round 3 is going to deliver 0.44 pounds per thousand, and that's an 11-00 with 0.2 merit. So that's our grub control product. Round 4, it's a fertilizer. It's a 10-12. Round 5, it's also just fertilizer. It's a 10-12 also. So it's a pretty big, it's 5 applications now. just spot spray the weed control where and when necessary. So that's kind of what we're doing here with the granular. That's what most guys are doing. They're walking around with a backpack or a hand can and mix it up, and they're just spot spraying. If phosphorus is banned and you cannot use it, then you're going to substitute a 1000 or the 1003 for the 1012. You just wouldn't use this product. You'd use the 1000 or the 1003, and that would obviously get you around that phosphorus ban. So that's a premium lawn granular. If we look at a premium lawn granular slow release, it's just, again, it's all granular products. It's 5 applications, and it's quite similar. It's just they're generally going to have slow release components to them, and you can see that right in here under the product description. And the total N is just real comparable to the other one I just showed you. The only thing I want to mention here about the premium lawn granular program and slow release is currently we do not make a grub control that's slow release. So you could either just buy a merit or something like that and apply it, or a 007 with imidacloprid and apply that, and that'd be fine. Generally speaking, in this region, like transition zone, it's June, July is going to be the best time frame. Then if we look at a premium lawn liquid program, this one is, and Katie, are we able to make this a little bit bigger? A little bit small, so we're just going to enlarge this a little bit, guys. But this is a 5-step program, and it's, so if we look at this, your round 1 is going to be 3/8 a pound per 1,000 square feet of nitrogen. Your round 2 would be a half a pound of N. Round 3, 3/8 a pound of N. Round 4 is a half a pound of N. And then sorry about that, guys. Let's see, a little technical difficulty. Round 5 is a half a pound of N. So that's if we add that up, that's going to come into we'll get it there. Let's see, 3/8, so it's a half. So it's a little over 2 pounds of N. It's like maybe like 2 1/8, 2 1/4, something like that, pounds of nitrogen annually. So between that and the amount of Holganix you'd be applying, which is 7 ounces, 7 ounces, 7, 7, and then another 7 in your round 5. You're going to be applying a total of 35 ounces of Holganix annually. So if you're putting that amount of Holganix and you're putting down over 2 pounds, and you'll have some very good results. The other thing we've done here, it's a premium program, so to get you a nice early spring green up, if you put in some ammonia sulfate with it, and this is the 20% slow release. So we've done a couple things. We're mixing 3 products here. We have urea, we have a 3000 liquid, that's the slow release, and then we have a 2100 ammonia sulfate, which does an excellent job of immediately getting into the plant and turning it green. So in that cold weather, it's a real cold weather product. And that's why we have it in round 1, you'll see it, round 2, you'll see it, and down in round 5, you'll also, well, we didn't say we did it in 4, but you do it in 4 or 5 basically. So with this, it's combining these 3, and the math's already done for you, so it will deliver 20% slow release, and you would need to put in 5.3 gallons of 3000, 53 pounds of the ammonium sulfate. So basically, it's a bag of that. Ammonium sulfate comes in like 51-pound bags, and then the 4600, about a bag of that, because that's 50-pound bags, and you need 48 pounds of it. So, and it's not, heart surgery. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, if you put a bag of this, bag of that, and then there are 5 gallons of this, you're there, and that's a great mixture. Then in round 2, and we put some general dates in here for you for general application times, just so roundabout times. Obviously, you tweak that, and again, for any of these, if you wanted to increase the amount of nitrogen or decrease, then we could talk about it, look at it, and just use less of certain components, and to make the program more custom tailored to exactly where you want it, what you want it. But at least it gives you, a basis to work off of. So your round two is a half pound of N. Here's the currents you're putting down. Holganix, 7 ounces. Grub control, the rates in there. Weed control, we upped it a little bit. The value programs, you're putting in 0.75 ounces per thousand. And then the premium programs, we're using a ounce per thousand. And then if we look at it here, just continuing on, it just shows you exactly what to put in the tank and how much of each ingredient to put in there. So if we look at a premium lawn hybrid program, then it's going to tell you what to do. It's basically saying it's granular round one. It's going to be granular round five. It's premium, so it's a 5 application process. The in-between apps are going to be liquid. And there are your dates. There's the amount of total N you're delivering. And here's exactly what you're using. And it delivers some really nice results. And then we can just look at these real quick. That's a premium lawn hybrid 20% slow release product. So it incorporates some of that 3000 to make it slow release in these applications. And then it also incorporates a slow release granular product. Then if we look, and that we kind of just went through them all actually. So there's here I am again. And does anybody have any questions at all about what we just went through? Okay, so we covered kind of a lot of ground there because there's really a lot of different things to consider when designing your program. There's your region, there's regulations, there's the amount of organics you want to use annually, the pre-emergence, a single app or a split app, and then the number of months of control you want to achieve. You want to consider the amount of nitrogen annually you want to utilize and divide that throughout the season. Of course, your weed control, or how many applications are you doing, or you spot spraying, and so there's a lot of considerations there. So we covered a lot of things, and what I'm going to do, let me give you here's my email address. It's rtyndall@holganix.com. And if you wanted to email me your email address, then I will send these sheets over to you that were in this. So it's kind of, like I say, you can just go in and type in how many gallons and your spray rate, and it'll help you. It's basically a mix chart. And, yeah, so we'll get those. Katie will get those over to you, she said. And so if there's no other questions, guys, then I wish you a great day and a great season. And my numbers, just call into the office here at 866-56-EARTH and at any time, and give me a call. I'd be happy to go over anything with you, answer any questions. If you wanted your program looked at or wanted to help work out a program, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys in any way I can and make this a working solution for you. So I'll say you guys have a great day. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.